Hi for this session. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So today we're talking about Project for the Web with our Microsoft Solution 101 series. This session will be recorded and we'll send that out to you guys afterwards. And throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, we can unmute you, or you can unmute yourself and just ask Neil while he's presenting or going through the demo. So I'm Erin. I'm the marketing manager at Marquee 360, and I also have on the call Neil Alcott. Neil, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody.
So Neil will be going through our technical portion of the demo, and I'm going to go through really quickly a little bit about us. At Marquee 360, we're a Microsoft Gold Partner for Project and Portfolio Management, Cloud Productivity, and Collaboration. At Marquee 360, we take your manual, repetitive processes and we automate those using the Microsoft 365 platform. When we work with customers, we learn about you, what your process looks like, and we recommend which solutions we think would work best for you. We work with our technical team on your implementations, and then we work with you on training, adoption, and then after the implementation, any change management or support you need, we're also there for that as well. So we like to be there for our customers and make sure you're as successful as possible. And I will pass it over to Neil.
Okay, thanks, Erin. Okay, so today we're going to be covering Project for the Web. Project for the Web is a relatively new service from Microsoft. It's one of their project management solutions. And it can do several different things, and it is a platform that they're continuously adding to, so this list will continue to grow. But in particular, it provides you with a way to do your project and task management. You can also use it alongside a Microsoft Teams, so you can use it for your collaboration capabilities. And then also with Power BI, we have the ability to do some reporting of project and task information. And as I mentioned, this is relatively new. It was released, I guess, over a year ago now. And Microsoft's going to continue to add additional capabilities to it as well. So I'm going to share my screen. We're just going to do a demo. It's the best way to learn. So. Okay, so there's a couple different ways you can start a Project for the Web project. One way is if you log into Office 365 and if you go to the waffle menu, if you have a license for Project for the Web or a Project Plan 1 license at least, you'll see a project option here. And when you click on that, it'll take you to the project homepage, which is basically what you're seeing here. Another way is you can also create a project directly within Microsoft Teams. So if you have a team set up, you can go ahead and add a project. So I want to show you both ways, and then primarily I'll work within Microsoft Teams. So going back to project homepage, if I want to create a new blank project, you see new blank project as an option here. And then when I click on that, it'll open up the Project for the Web task screen. And there's a couple of things I want to do just to get this project set up. So one is I want to give it a name. So it'll start with Untitled Project, but I'm going to go into here and say Project for the Web, Webinar 1. I can say who the project manager is. And that'll do a lookup against your Office 365 Active Directory. And then what's this project start date going to be? So let's say this project's going to start on June 1st. Okay. And then in the schedule, the task view, I can then go ahead and start building out my project plan. So if I go into here and start creating some tasks, so let's say I want to have a planning phase, define requirements, identify stakeholders, and we'll keep this short and sweet. Let's say we're going to have a executing phase. and we're going to design the solution. We're going to develop the solution, deploy the solution, and we'll have a closing phase. Here we'll do project closeout, train users. I know you guys wish all your projects were this short, but this will do for the webinar. Now, if I want to give this some structure, so for example, these different phases, I want them to be summary task. If I select these tasks below, and if I hold my control key down, I could select multiple tasks just like you would in Excel and other Microsoft tools. If I click on a little menu option here, you'll see make subtask as an option. You can also add dependencies, remove dependencies, copy and paste the task if you want to copy a section of your project plan. But once I indent that as a subtask, now you can see we have this as a summary task, and then these are the tasks below that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that with these other tasks, make a subtask, and we'll do it to these guys as well. Okay. And then the next thing is you'll see here we have assigned to. So if I want to start assigning these tasks to individuals. Now, if you use Project Online or Project Server in the past, Project Online and Project Server had what was called an enterprise resource pool. With Project for the Web, essentially your entire Active Directory is your resource pool. So you can go in and just start typing any name and it'll go ahead and find that person, and then you can add them to your project team. Now, the first time you add them to your project team, if this project isn't linked to an Office 365 group, it'll prompt you to either create that group or add it to an existing group. Okay, so if you do add to a group, you can pick any of your existing groups that are out there, or you can create one specifically for this particular project. When we get into Microsoft Teams, this will be related to Microsoft Teams as well, because what underpins a Microsoft team is an Office 365, Microsoft 365 group. Besides doing it here on a per task basis, an easier way to do this to set up your project team is over here in the upper right. You can click on group members, and then you can go into here and start adding individuals, right? So if I add Topeka, if I add Aaron, if I add Jarrell. Okay, so now here I can very easily add a bunch of resources. It'll create that group. And now when I go into here, I can just go ahead and pick one or more of those resources to assign to work to. You can see here as I'm assigning them, it's putting their little avatar on that task. Okay. And then I could also go in and say, what's the duration of these tasks? So maybe this will be 5 days, 2 days, 10 days, 20 days, 5 days, 1 day, 4 days. Now, if you need more detail, you'll see you do have an add column option. So if I go into here, I could add additional fields that I want to see information about. So for example, let's say I want to add the % complete. I also want to see the start and finish dates. And then if I want to get an idea of effort, so, how many hours are these individuals going to be spending on these different tasks? Then you see we have effort completed, effort remaining. You also have buckets and dependencies that you could also add, but I'm going to show you another way to add those. You do also have the ability to add new fields. The new field capability here it's nice. It allows you to add some custom fields to these tasks. Just be aware that there are some limitations with them currently. These will not show up in your Power BI reporting, for example. They're purely used more for informational purposes by the project manager. Also, there's just 4 data types. So if you need other data types, like instead of number, you want currency or cost, that's not available currently. Okay, but you can add some custom fields as well. Okay, so what I did here is I just built a very basic task plan, and I set some durations, I set some resource assignments. Now up here, this is the grid view. If I also want to look at this more as a planner or Kanban board type view, I can go into here and I can see all the cards set up for those different tasks. And if I want, I can go in and rename these buckets. So maybe this is going to be my backlog. And maybe this will be sprint 1. This will be sprint 2. And then what I can do is just drag and drop and move those tasks to however I want to set that up.
Hey, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question in the chat.
Okay.
Does Project for the Web offer resource management to see utilization across projects?
It does to a certain extent, not as detailed as a project server or project online would. That is something that Microsoft's currently working on. When I get into some of the Power BI reporting, you will see some of that. But again, it's probably not as robust as what you would get with Project Online or Project Server currently. With this board view, I could also go in and get a Kanban board view. So now I can see what tasks have been not started, what's in progress, what's been completed so far. So before I do that, I want to show you the timeline view. So when I go in here to the timeline view, here I see more of the Gantt chart, timeline view. And with this, I can do several different things. One is if I want to set up my dependencies, I can just click on the one, drag it, and connect it to the other task. And this will build out my overall project schedule. And if I change my zoom here, I can then zoom out and shrink my timeline to just get an overall view of the project schedule. Okay. And then going back to our board view, if I want to start updating some of these tasks, so I could drag and drop some of these to show that they've been completed. I could also just click on the little check mark next to it to show it's been completed. I could also move some things to show they're currently in progress. When I go back to the grid view, you'll see our % completes have been updated. The checkbox is also here as well. So as you complete tasks, you can go ahead and check on those. Okay. So everything that I've done here, so I didn't save my my project name. Everything that I've done here so far, I've done through the project homepage and directly in Project for the Web. But another way to work with this is through Microsoft Teams. Okay, so if I go into Microsoft Teams, here I have a Microsoft team created for the webinar. And you can see right now, it's just a basic Microsoft team. Nothing's been added to it at this point. But I could do a couple different things. So one is if I click on the plus sign here, and I go to add an app to my Microsoft team, one of the apps that you'll see here is for project. So I go ahead and click on this and hit add. It's going to give me the option to create a new project. And I can give it a name. Now, if this team had other projects associated with it, you could also add those as well. So you're not limited just to one project for the web project. You can add more than one as well.
Neil, we have another question.
Yep.
If a resource wants to see all tasks assigned to them, how do they do so?
With Project for the Web, it's really more at a per project basis. One thing that we've done for some other clients is we synchronize these tasks to Planner. and then Planner will give them kind of a master view of all the projects that have been assigned to them. But currently, this does not synchronize data on its own with Planner or To-Do.
Thanks.
Okay. So as you can see here, once I add that app, you're seeing basically the same functionality that we were just seeing. So again, I can go into here, start creating my task. And build it out. Now, one thing that'll be a little bit different here, let me just go ahead and make these subtasks. Whoops, this one should not be a subtask. When I go into here with the assign to, I could still go and, assign resources just like I did before. But you'll notice the group membership options not over here in the upper right. And that's because it's within the Microsoft team. So if you go back to team, manage team, you can go ahead and add your other resources here. Now, what this will do is it'll add them to the Microsoft team, but it'll also allow them to collaborate, share files, use all the Microsoft Teams functionality.
Neil, we have 2 questions.
Yep.
The first one is, can you send task reminders to team members?
You can through Power Automate. So you can set up different email reminders. I know that's on the roadmap as well for Microsoft. They may have just released it actually, where you can do email reminders. But if the Microsoft hasn't released it yet, then you could at least do it through Power Automate. So when a new task gets created, it sends a reminder.
And also, can you add a project that has already been created, like the Webinar 1 example?
You can. Now, they have to be, here we go. Let me go through an example of that. So let's say I'm going to create a team. And it's going to be from an existing group. I'm going to do Microsoft 365 group. And what I'm going to do is use this PFWR Webinar 1. So that's that existing group. And now when I go here to add a project, it can see that existing project that was in that Microsoft 365 group. And it looks like we have another question.
Yes. Is PWA/project for the web integration on the roadmap?
No, not necessarily. That's something that we've done with other customers, where we can do some integration so that you can either use Project for the Web or Project Online, and then basically synchronize data between the two. Really depends on what you're using to be your portfolio tool. A lot of organizations are still going to be using Project Online as the central portfolio tool. But you might want Project for the Web projects to show up in that portfolio, so we can synchronize that. Another option too is you could use both Project Online and Project for the Web, but then use your reporting layer. So for example, here, if I go into Power BI, we could have a set of Power BI dashboards that is actually including both Project Online projects along with Project for the Web projects. In this example here, you can see over here we have a filter for what's the data source, where is it coming from. So you can see here, it's either project for the web or project online. So right now I'm only looking at project for the web projects. But if I turn project online on, now you can see there's a bunch of other projects that are now in here. So in my opinion, that would probably be the better way to integrate the two. An easier way, just do it at the reporting level, unless you need some kind of synchronization of data between the two different systems.
Are you ready for another question?
Sure, why not?
Is there a way to share the project with people that do not have an Office 365 subscription?
If they don't have an Office 365 subscription, it's going to be fairly limited, right? Because this is a cloud service. It's basically part of Office 365. So when you go up to here, you do have the ability to export to Excel. And then if you have Power BI, you could save it as a PDF, whatever the project information might be. But yeah, if they don't have an Office 365 subscription, it's going to be pretty basic, old-fashioned way of sharing the data. Now, keep in mind if, from a licensing perspective, if you want to create and manage project for the web projects, you're going to need a Plan 1 license at a minimum. There's also a Plan 3 and a Plan 5 license, depending on what you're trying to do. But if you just want people to look at the schedules, that is actually part of the core Office 365 subscription, basically like a read-only access. They won't be able to update their tasks. They won't be able to create tasks or create projects, but they will be able to see and read the information in the project schedules.
Awesome, thanks.
Okay. What other questions you guys have? Did I go into here? Now, again, for this webinar, I'm really focused on what you get kind of out of the box with Project for the Web. One of the things that we've done for other customers is if you do want to use Project for the Web, say versus Project Online, Project Online has a lot more bells and whistles, but you might not need that, right? But if we need more of a enterprise PMO portfolio view of things, what we've done is we have Power Apps. So we have a Power App called PPM 360. So if I just sign in here real quick. So if I open this up, so with this is using the Microsoft Power Platform. But as I go into here, I can get more of a portfolio view of all my project for the web projects. And I can do things like graphical indicators. And then if I drill down into a particular project, then we can capture more information than just the project schedule. So when you're looking at project for the web out of the box, it's more geared towards just the basic, scheduling components. But as you know, your project plans are more than just the schedule. So with a Power App like this, we can then capture other information as well. So you see there's different tabs where we can get more and more information about those projects. And even up here, we can see, what's the current phase that the project's going through, and we can tie some workflow and whatnot against that. So we'll be doing a more in-depth dive into this particular solution in another webinar. I think, Aaron, we still have to set the date for that webinar, but you can take Project for the Web and extend it using the Power Platform like this. I think that's it. I mean, I don't know what other questions you guys have. So can you assign who has permission to edit the project plan? Yeah, you can share the project plans. And basically it'll be whoever the members are that are here that has a Plan 1 or a Plan 3 license, they would be able to edit it. You do have some co-authoring capabilities as well, which is nice. Project Online, you have a check-in, check-out capability, which basically locks the project so that only one person can edit it at a time. Whereas with Project for the Web, co-authoring is something that would be possible as well. So two people could be editing a schedule at the same time. All right. Any other questions? I don't have a screenshot of the task reminders. Again, that's something that we would set up through Power Automate. So as a task is created or a task is due, we could have a job that would send out reminders based on that. No problem. All right. If there was any other questions, if not, I'm going to hand it back to Erin.
Thanks, Neil.
Okay.
I'll share again. Get us to the right side. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Like Neil was talking about, we do have our own sets of apps and solutions and services to go along with these Microsoft solutions. So specifically for Project for the Web, we have workshops, training, we do implementation, support, and we also have the PPM 360 app to extend the capabilities of Project for the Web. So if you're interested in any of these services or solutions, please feel free to reach out to us. And we will be sharing the recording with you guys shortly. And thank you for